Momentum is a real thing in the NFL. It's the difference between a team being 3-5 in their last 8 games or 5-0 in their last 5 games. And you view that team completely different depending on what their record is and how many games they have most recently won and what that team looks like over the course of those games. Momentum changes everything in the NFL. It is the biggest difference between teams that win and teams that don't have a chance of winning. And the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are a team that does not have momentum, but won a game, which is a launching pad to momentum. And it's the perfect time because if the Steelers are going to come back and do anything crazy, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be a team that pulls off miracles with a 42-year-old quarterback and Mike Tomlin saving his job, well, it starts with a win, but it doesn't end with just one win. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. As always, before we get going, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. I come to you every Monday through Friday with a little bit of a news, a little bit of analysis. And today, let's talk momentum in the NFL and how the Pittsburgh Steelers season, if you were to bet on it, does not look good. And the last 8 games don't look good. And a win over the Baltimore Ravens is not enough to convince me. It could convince you, but it does not convince me that this team is Super Bowl bound and that this season is saved. But in the thought of maybe the holiday spirit of miracles, of a great story that Mike Tomlin somehow saved his job and took the Pittsburgh Steelers to crazy heights and just did something in Mike Tomlin fashion, because you could see it as I say it, it's popping into your brain. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers could build some momentum. And momentum, along with many other things, but certainly included, is one of the most critical factors in winning a Super Bowl. And again, I'm not sitting here saying the Pittsburgh Steelers are Super Bowl champions or Super Bowl contenders. I don't even know if they are a playoff team yet. What I do know is right now the Pittsburgh Steelers have hit their launching pad. Baltimore Ravens, a win. Shut up a lot of critics for a head coach that had the fans calling for his job a week earlier and everybody talking about how maybe it's time to go, maybe it's time to end, maybe it's time for the Steelers to move on, and maybe it's time for Mike Tomlin to ask for the Steelers to move on. But if the Steelers could win a majority of their final 4 games, if they could walk away 3-1, they head into the postseason as a team that is 9-8, wins the AFC North, feels pretty good about it, swept the Baltimore Ravens, heads into a home playoff game against whoever, and gets a shot in the cold at Pittsburgh to prove, hey, we've got momentum. They do. They could pull that off. And momentum is certainly in their favor, because if you could get past the Miami Dolphins, nobody expects you to beat the Lions. They shouldn't expect you to beat the Lions. And if you do beat the Lions, it's just a massive boost to the situation, but nobody would sit around guessing that that's going to happen. If you can beat the Miami Dolphins, you only have to beat the Shedeur Sanders-led Browns and then host the Baltimore Ravens in a Week 18 game that may decide the AFC North and may have already decided the AFC North. And if that's the case, and you beat a Miami Dolphins team that is on a 4-game winning streak in your home turf, and then swept the Browns, hopefully in dominant fashion, if you could go and beat the Ravens afterwards, I mean, you look like a good team heading into the playoffs. A completely different team than the team that is 3-5 in their last 8 games. A completely different outlook, a different perspective of optimism for a team that now has momentum. What you do with that momentum, that's on you. None of that changes. If Aaron Rodgers is going to be good in the postseason, then he's going to be good in the postseason. And if he's not, then he's not. If TJ Watt's going to disappear when the playoffs start, then TJ Watt's going to disappear when the playoffs start. None of that you can control. What you could control is the narrative going in and the outlook about it, because you could carry that. You know, I go back to the New York Giants team and the Pittsburgh Steelers teams of the 2000s that made their way into the Super Bowl as the 6th seed and then ended up winning Super Bowls. Neither of those teams looked like teams that were destined for glory. Both of those teams had a ton of momentum heading into the playoffs. That's all you need. And the Steelers right now have zero momentum, not a piece of it. And there are teams around the league that have a ton of it right now. The Houston Texans are a really good example. The Miami Dolphins are a really good example. The Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots obviously are good examples, but the Chargers are right there too as a team that is building and building and building. And you don't want everybody to have it, but what you don't want to be more than that is the only team that doesn't. If the Steelers could use these final 4 games against bad teams outside of the Detroit Lions, they have an opportunity to walk into the postseason and look like a team that could actually do something. It changes everything, because how we've judged the Steelers this season has flip-flopped so many times that it's left you feeling both sides of the coin. It's left you feeling, man, this team is awesome and we're going to do great, crazy things. Man, this team is terrible. I can't believe that they've even won a game. What is going on with this team? One week it's awesome, one week it's not. This defense is going to win a Super Bowl. This defense might be the worst in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers is him. Aaron Rodgers stinks. We've seen it all. And some will say that's terrible. Others will say glass half full. You've seen the good parts of this. You've seen the moments where you've thought that the Steelers were Super Bowl contenders. You've seen those moments. I have a notepad next to me that says the Steelers are going to win 13 games. Because at one point during the season, it was easy to predict that the Steelers were going to win 13 games. Momentum does that. Momentum changes every single outlook on a team. And a lot of times those outlooks are real. People call out flip-flopping constantly. People flip-flop. They flip-flop all here. And last week they thought they were good. Now they think they're bad. Yes, because the NFL is constantly in motion. But the Steelers, all they got to do is be on the right side of that motion heading into the wild card weekend. And if they are, then if you win 9 games, but you've won enough at the end to make your record look good, people are only going to talk about that. Well, the Steelers are 4-1 in their last 5 games. That's what they'll say. They won't say the Steelers are 6-5 in their last 11 games. That's not what they'll say. They have an opportunity to really, really change the narrative. And again, I wouldn't sit here and call them contenders. I wouldn't sit here and call them a playoff team. I would sit here and call them a team that has a quarterback that I trust in big moments, a team that has a head coach that, man, if the Steelers were good, I wouldn't have any faith in. But the Steelers are bad, and that's typically when Mike Tomlin coaches his best football, in these crazy moments where everybody's already ruled them out and it's over and the Steelers stink and blah, 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 blah. We've heard the narrative a million times. And then Mike Tomlin wins a game. And you're going, how did that even happen? But he looked good doing it. If they didn't have that, maybe, just maybe, I'd be 100% out. But I am a believer in momentum because I've seen it throughout my life. I've seen it in the NFL many, many times. And the Steelers right now, unlike the Baltimore Ravens, are on the right side of momentum. That's got to continue. And if it does, well, wild card weekend, it looks totally different than what it would look like today. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get podcasts. Before you head out of here, hit that like and subscribe button. Can't thank you enough for that. And as always, I'll be back later for the flagship show. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.